stop scrolling for a second. Because something just happened this week, right here in Asia, that most people are not talking about, and it is the kind of thing that 10 years from now, people will look back at and say, that was the moment everything changed for the Philippines. March 3rd, 2026. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung lands in Manila, his first state visit to the Philippines since taking office. And what he brought with him was not just a handshake and a photo opportunity. He brought deals, real ones, specific ones, with numbers attached, defense agreements, agricultural partnerships, trade investments, technology cooperation, digital innovation, space exploration, cultural exchange. In 2 days, the Philippines and South Korea concluded agreements across defense material procurement, veterans affairs, agriculture, trade, investment, intellectual property, digital cooperation, digitalization, innovation, Korean language training, cultural cooperation, and police cooperation. That is not a diplomatic visit. That is a nation choosing the Philippines, deliberately, strategically, with full intention. And today, we are going to break down exactly why. Every reason, every number, every implication. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to see the Philippines differently. Before we get into the why, let's make sure we understand the what, because the details of this visit are extraordinary. President Marcos and President Lee met at Malacañang Palace on the 77th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. 77 years of partnership, and this week, that partnership leveled up in a way it never has before. Here are the real numbers. The Philippines-South Korea Free Trade Agreement is now in full effect, eliminating tariffs on 94.8% of Philippine exports to Korea. Read that again. 94.8%. Almost every single Filipino product that enters South Korea now does so without a tariff barrier. The FTA covers preferential duty-free entry for 11,164 Philippine products, representing $3.18 billion, or 87.4% of total Korean imports from the Philippines. And the result? Since the FTA took effect, South Korean investments in the Philippines have surged more than fivefold. Fivefold. Not double, not triple. 5 times. And then, this week, on top of all of that, the Philippines announced it expects 10 official development assistance deals from South Korea, totaling $6.2 billion. The largest share in the current pipeline. $6.2 billion. From one partner, in one pipeline. This is not a small story. This is one of the most significant economic developments the Philippines has seen in years. And South Korea did not do this by accident. So, the first question is, why the Philippines specifically? South Korea could deepen partnerships with any country in Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, all strong economies, all available. So, why, with such intensity, the Philippines? The answer starts with geography. The Philippines sits at one of the most strategically critical positions on the planet right now. At the crossroads of East Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific trade routes, the Philippines is not just a market, it is a gateway. Ships carrying trillions of dollars in goods pass through the waters around the Philippines every single year. Energy, electronics, raw materials, consumer goods. For South Korea, a nation whose entire economic model is built on exports, this location is not just convenient, it is essential. South Korea supplies advanced technology, while the Philippines offers mineral resources and strategic geography, and both governments framed this expanded partnership as a hedge against a rapidly shifting global economic and security landscape. That phrase, hedge against a rapidly shifting global landscape, is the key. The world is becoming more uncertain. Supply chains are fracturing, geopolitical tensions are rising, and nations that are smart, nations like South Korea, are not waiting for things to break before they build their alternatives. They are building now, and the Philippines is where they are building. Now, let's talk about what this partnership actually looks like on the ground, because this is not vague diplomatic language. These are specific industries, specific companies, specific jobs. Both countries agreed to expand cooperation across automotive, shipbuilding, marine equipment, semiconductors, electronics and electrical equipment, mold and dye, critical raw materials, energy, and the digital economy. Let's break that down one by one. Shipbuilding. HD Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the largest shipbuilding companies in the world, plans to expand its workforce in the Philippines from 1,200 to approximately 6,000 to 7,000 workers by 2030. That is not an investment in a factory. That is an investment in Filipino workers at a massive scale. Defense. The Philippines has already acquired 12 FA-50PH light combat aircraft and added another 12 in June 2025 from Korea Aerospace Industries. HHI has delivered 2 frigates and 2 corvettes to the Philippine Navy and is currently constructing 6 offshore patrol vessels. Nuclear energy, Meralco, Korea, Hydro, and Nuclear Power, and the Export-Import Bank of Korea signed an agreement to jointly develop business and financial models for new nuclear plant projects, covering plant design, engineering, information sharing, and potential financing for Korean-led energy initiatives in the Philippines. Space. This one is extraordinary. The Philippine Space Agency partnered with South Korea's Perigi Aerospace for education, training, and cooperation in the assembly, test, and experimental launch of a sounding rocket, positioning the Philippines as a gateway to space in the region. The Philippines, a gateway to space. If that does not make you sit up straighter, I do not know what will. Digital and AI. Through a new MOU on digital cooperation, the two countries broaden their science and technology partnership to include artificial intelligence and next-generation communication infrastructure, with South Korea's goal of becoming one of the world's top 3 AI powers. This is the full picture, and it is bigger than most people realize. Here is something the headlines are not saying loudly enough. The timing of this partnership is not a coincidence. The global economy is going through one of its biggest restructurings in decades. After COVID, after trade wars, after geopolitical fractures across multiple regions, every major economy on the planet is asking the same question. If our current supply chain breaks, what is our backup? South Korea learned this lesson the hard way, and they responded by doing what great economies do. They diversified, they planned, they moved. The Philippines offers South Korean companies the ability to diversify operations across manufacturing, technology partnerships, electronics assembly, and logistics. With an English-speaking workforce, strategic location, growing infrastructure, and strong diplomatic ties with major economies. English-speaking. That matters more than people realize. For Korean companies setting up regional operations, having a workforce that speaks the global language of business is a massive operational advantage. South Korea has historically been one of the Philippines' largest sources of foreign investment, with Korean companies continuing to expand in infrastructure, energy, manufacturing, and technology. They were already here. Now they are going deeper, because they see what the data shows. The Philippines is not a risk, it is a foundation. But here is the part of this story that no economic report fully captures, and it is the part that every Filipino should hear. South Korean companies operating in the Philippines do not just talk about location and logistics, they talk about people. The Filipino workforce, resilient, adaptable, skilled, reliable. The world already knows this. Filipino healthcare workers, Filipino engineers, Filipino seafarers, Filipino professionals in every corner of the globe. South Korea sees a young population of over 110 million people, a workforce that is growing, educated, and increasingly skilled. In economics, demographics are destiny. Countries with aging populations face slowdowns. Countries with young, growing workforces have momentum. The Philippines has momentum. Korean firms such as Samsung Electromechanics, SFA Semicon, and HD Hyundai Heavy Industries continue expanding operations in the Philippines, not because it is the cheapest option, but because it is the most reliable one. Trust is the real currency of international business, and the Philippines has earned it. Here is what I want you to take away from everything we just covered. The world is changing. The global economic order is being rewritten. New alliances are forming. New supply chains are being built. New partnerships are being forged. And in the middle of all of this, South Korea looked at the map, looked at the data, looked at the people, and chose the Philippines. From nuclear energy to space exploration, from shipbuilding to semiconductors, from artificial intelligence to maritime defense. This partnership covers the industries that will define the next 50 years. And the Philippines is in the center of it, not at the edges, not as a secondary player, at the center. The Philippines was the first Asian nation to establish diplomatic ties with Korea and the first to send troops during the Korean War. That relationship, 77 years old, is now entering its most consequential chapter. If this video gave you a new way of seeing the Philippines, hit subscribe so you never miss a breakdown like this. And I want to hear from you in the comments. What sector of this South Korea-Philippines partnership excites you the most? Is it the nuclear energy deal, the space cooperation, the shipbuilding jobs, or the AI partnership? Drop it below. Let's talk about it. Because the conversation about the Philippines' future starts right here.